The theme for Refugee Week is restoring hope. Since the FUSE program began in 2006, it's helped provide hope to about 400 new arrivals, people from refugee backgrounds, by matching them up with over 400 volunteers. And one of those volunteers that I recall meeting, his name is Tesfaye. He was born in Ethiopia. He was about 34 years old and had spent half of his life in a refugee camp before coming to Australia. And when he met up with his mentor, Russell, he said these words: "Hope is like food. Thank you for giving me hope." And I just thought this really shows the centrality of, like, it's just not enough just to have food, shelter, all those sorts of things. We need more than that to sustain life. Simple acts of friendship and welcome can mean so much to others, especially those that have come from lives that are very hard, very difficult circumstances, things that we can almost scarcely imagine. The other way that I think that the FUSE mentoring program relates to this theme of restoring hope is that I think it's by people meeting people that we break down barriers and stereotypes and the often negative portrayals of new arrivals that are in the media. So once you've met someone who's a new arrival, the stereotypes don't fit anymore, because you'll just find out how wonderful they are, how similar they are to us, that they have hopes and dreams and aspirations and all of that. So that's one of the really other great ways that I think that the FUSE mentoring program helps with this theme of restoring hope. Hope that we can become a more compassionate and tolerant and inclusive and just society. So there are currently 70 active volunteers in the FUSE program, and a further 15 or so in the process of being matched up. If you're interested in becoming a mentor, there's always room for more, so talk to me about that or call me or send me an email. And tonight we'll have a chance, as I said, to hear some stories from some of those mentors, as well as this groundbreaking world premiere tonight. I welcome you all again to this Stories of Hope, and thank you all for coming along.
So I've been with FUSE now for, I don't know, I think about 5 or 6 years, and Ali is the third person that I've mentored. For me personally, it's not just about the personal satisfaction I get of seeing people evolve in confidence and settling into the country, but for me it's also a responsibility as a citizen. My greatest fear for Australia is that with all the rhetoric that's going on at the moment, all the negative publicity, we're actually creating the very world that the racists fear. We're creating a society that is going to hate each other and fight against each other. So it's a self-fulfilling prophecy for me, and that's my greatest fear. So there's that element behind why I mentor as well. When I first started, I was paired with an African chap who'd been here for 3 years, and in that entire 3 years he'd been here, he'd never once been invited to somebody's house for dinner outside of his own community. Now, he had a job, he had a family, so he was quite well settled, but he just could not break into our society. And through him, I found out all of his other African friends were exactly in the same situation. And the way I found this out was because I invited him to dinner at my house. And we were just in the conversation of dinner, or what time do you want me to get there? And I'd known him for a bit by then, and I thought, African time. So I said to him, now when I say 6 o'clock, it means you actually have to be at my house by 6:30 at the latest. And he said, why? And I said, because in our culture, we cook first, prepare the food, so that when you arrive, we can actually sit down and just enjoy each other's company. And this was mind-blowing for him. He had no idea, because in his culture, they wait till everybody arrives, and then the cooking becomes part of the evening, part of the experience. And they were so shocked by this that he has a friend who does the Swahili language program, and I think it's EBI FM. He announced this on radio for all the Africans to know. And it became this weekly thing. You'd get an Aussie tip from me to talk about in Swahili on radio. But it really did make me realise that while one of the fears that people say about any migrant, really, or particularly any new group of migrants that are coming in, is, they always stick with their own community. From my experience, the fact is we're actually pushing them back into their community. I have not come across a single refugee or asylum seeker yet who hasn't wanted to be Australian and to be part of our country and to be part of our society, and they just can't break in. So to be that conduit for me is an amazing experience, to see them getting out there, taking them out to the Fringe, the second biggest festival in the world is the Adelaide Fringe, and after 3 years he had no idea it even existed. So those kind of experiences are amazing for me. The second person I was matched with was a bit of a special case. It was an Egyptian chap who was actually here as an asylum seeker, and I helped him through Fuse to join community groups and get settled and to actually become a refugee, to get his refugee status. He hardly spoke any English at all. I bought a little pocket Arab-English dictionary, which I took to our first meeting, and we literally sat there looking up words. It was that difficult. But again, in that time, his English improved quite dramatically, and one of the most heartfelt moments of my entire life was when he got his refugee status, and he turned around and he said, "Thank you for saving my life." I get all emotional just thinking about it now. So, incredibly profound experience. Then there's him. I'll let Ali tell you his own story, but we've been paired together now for about 2 years, and in that 2 years we've really become like I prefer to say brothers and father and son. Let's just say I wasn't grey before I met him. But we've done some incredible things, and one of the things that Ali has taught me, and this is the fantastic thing about this experience, is that you get so much out of it personally. It's not just the giving. From Ali, we have this incredible story of dreams coming true. Ali wanted to change schools for year 12 and said, "Oh, what about this one?" He pointed to a private school and went, "I don't think so." He goes, "Oh, come on, can't we just check it out, please?" And it turns out that by sheer chance, the following week, they had an open day. So we went there, and we had the open day, and they started talking about scholarships. And Ali went, "Oh, scholarship, yeah." And I said, "It's not going to happen, Ali. Look, I'm sorry, I don't want to burst your bubble." But we talked to the principal afterwards, and we went, "Oh, don't worry about the fees or anything like that. Just apply for the scholarship. That's okay. You've got to be in it to win it. We'll waive all fees to give him an equal opportunity to all other students." Went through this lengthy process. He didn't get the scholarship, but through that process, he impressed the school so much they gave him a bursary to cover his fees, and he now goes to a private school. So it's absolutely amazing. He's an incredible young man, but that was a real lesson for me. Don't say no. Say, maybe it's possible. I've got the sign to shut up. So thank you for listening. And I can't tell you how excited I am to see so many people here today. I don't know how many are already involved with Fuse, but please come up and speak to me afterwards, because it's become a real passion of mine, and I really can't recommend it enough. Thank you.
Thank you. I wish I could speak like him. There is a lot to talk about, but there is not much time, and also if I write about my experiences, so I could write a book. Yeah, as well as my mentor is insisting that if I keep writing about my experiences or story, so yeah, I promise that I will try. So I began my speak about my brief experiences and story. So in 2011, our boat was identified by Australian Army, and we were took to Christmas Island. At that time, I was really happy and terrified as well, because I passed the dangerous journey, and also, yeah, I made it to Australia. Though I spent 3 months of my life in detention centers. I was finally relocated or transferred to Adelaide under Baptist Care AC in Adelaide. The life here in community detention center was really different compared to real detention center. Here the staffs were really helpful and compassionate, and they were really lovely. I appreciate, and I'm really grateful to them. So when I started school, my life just get a different shape. So I learned about the Australian history and also the Australian culture. So I think in end of 2011, I was matched by the lovely Rod, a great mentor. So yeah, apart from providing the fundamental needs like including helping with homework, driving, and about saving accounts and other things. So Rod has really changed the direction of my life by adopting me to his family. And I'm really thankful to Rod that he just began a new window for my future. Now I'm really ambitious and hoping for a better future. So when I moved from Baptist Care SA, like the community detention center, so the life was about to change, because in detention center or community detention center, we had the full support. We didn't have to worry about accommodation, about the funding, finance, and also the staff were there to help us with our education, our health, and also safety. So in real community, so I needed someone to support me. So there, Mr. Rod, or the lovely Rod, my friend or my mentor, so helped me to settle down. He organized the furniture and everything. So yeah, and I was stressed before, but I'm not now because I have the full support. And Rod and I, we have a lot of common things to do in life. We love to socialize with friends, and also we love to watch movies, exercise, but he is not really successful. And I'm really believing this, that people can live with limited living resources, but it's quite impossible to live without love and respect. So I'm really thankful to Rod for giving me love and respect. And also I thank Baptist Care for organizing this opportunity for us. And I know that everyone has the asylum seeker. We have the similar stories. So yeah, and we are really thankful for those welcoming people. So yeah, and also what Mr. Rod learned from me, so I am a good teacher, so I teach him my language, especially swearing. So it's really, yeah, and also once I took Rod to the mosque for the first time, and that was a really good experience for him because he is also learning about my culture. So it's true that Australia is multicultural, but we should learn about our cultures, and we can associate with other people so we can be brothers and sisters or good friends. So I think I have to say that. Thank you so much.
Just wanted to say one more thing which I left out of my speech, and I'm sorry I'm taking up more time, but when I first became involved with Baptist Care and ongoing, I just kept hearing all these established mentors going, oh, I feel so blessed to have these people in my life. And I used to think, well, you know, I started saying it too, but it was a bit of a catchword, a bit of a buzzword, and it felt almost a bit, I don't know, derogatory to, you know, a bit nice child type thing. But then last year, Ali did a school project and he interviewed me about the mentoring process. And it was the first time I'd ever thought about what I was doing and the effect it had on people. And I came to realise that when it comes to refugees and asylum seekers, these are people who have seen and experienced the absolute worst that humanity has to offer. So for somebody to go through all of that and then put their trust in me, that's why I feel blessed. Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Latima. I've been matched up with my friend Azam for a few months now. I've been involved in the Fuse mentoring program since about February or March of this year. So I'm a bit newer than our previous speakers. I first found out about the Fuse Mentoring Program through an email that I got through the University of Adelaide, which I attend at the moment. And I thought it sounded like such a fantastic opportunity to meet someone from a different culture and become friends with someone who I ordinarily wouldn't have met, because in terms of social circle, I meet my friends from uni and I meet family friends, and it's quite a small kind of cluster of people. And to meet someone, have the opportunity to meet someone from a different community and cultural background, I thought that would be fantastic, and become friends with them. So that's sort of why I became involved, and got involved in the background kind of the workshops and things that go on in the lead up to being matched up, and then became matched with my friend Azam, who's a girl around my age, who's from Iran and has been living in Australia for about a year. And I was quite nervous when I first met her, because you don't quite know what to expect. You're meeting someone for the first time. All you have is this piece of paper with a bit of information about, this is their name and this is what they do, and this is how old they are. And you're going to, I'm not sure how much English do they know? How are we going to communicate? Are we going to be having one of these experiences, reading in front of a dictionary like the previous speaker, or are we going to have a fluent conversation together? And we met up at her place, and she was very welcoming and gave food and things. And we got to talking, and we became instant friends. That sounds a bit cliche, but it's not. We're quite similar, even though she's from a different background. She's from Iran. She works. In Iran, she went to university and worked as a teacher. She worked as an administrator as well, and she came over here, obviously not as her first, as kind of a last line to quite a difficult circumstance, and came here and is now going to TAFE, and really trying to learn better English so that she can end up working and earn money and create a life for herself here. And I go to uni, and we have very similar interests. So we have a lot to talk about together, even though her English is somewhat limited. And through meeting every couple of weeks since March, we've become not mentor-mentee, but we've just become friends. And I just catch up every couple of weeks with my good friend Azam. And we go to the movies, like we went to the movies last night and saw The Great Gatsby together. And she understood 20%, she said. But afterwards, we kind of filled in the details with one of my other friends that we went to, and I'm starting to introduce her into my social circle, and introducing her to my friends as well. And I'm just introducing her to more people, and she's becoming friends with people who are not from her usual social circle, because before she met me, she basically just had friends from TAFE, and friends who were from Iran, who were refugees that she met in detention camps. And she'd never really met someone who was Australian born and who could explain things about our culture to her, and she's found it quite beneficial as well. She does apologise, by the way, by not being able to come tonight. She's got exams this week and she's quite stressed, so she did want to come and share her experiences with you all, but she was unable to come because she's got to study tonight. So from my perspective, I've basically gotten what I want and more from this program, because I've got a friend who's becoming quite close to me, and I'm learning more about her culture. And I'm discovering, even though in my mind before I joined the program I thought, I'm not one of those people who just puts people into boxes and thinks, refugee into this box. And really I think I was. And meeting someone who's from that background, who came here by boat. She went from Iran to Indonesia and got on a boat and came to Australia. Couldn't speak any Indonesian. I don't know how she got into a boat in Indonesia, and only knew 3 phrases of English when she came here. It's really been quite an amazing experience at breaking down those barriers of who a refugee is. A refugee is someone who's just had difficult experiences and been forced into something that is not ideal. And she's a wonderful person. And so that's something that I've found quite beneficial. And from her perspective, I think she's found someone, made friends with someone from Australia. She's been able to practice her English and also got a good friend in me. So that's basically all all that I wanted to say tonight.
Hi, everybody. I'm Dikra from Iraq. I was born in Iraq and live in Turkey. I came to Australia by United Nations by plane, and arrived to Adelaide on 16 February 2011. When I arrived, I was very tired. When I arrived, I was sick and scared because I go to a strange country with different people, different history and culture and languages. It was many problems in my mind between fear and optimism. When I arrived to Adelaide, in the airport, I saw two women smiled at me to say welcome to me. They are from Migrant Resource Center, or RMC. They took me to my home in terms of comfort and safety. Everything was ready. The grocery, Dream Lake, furniture, and everything was ready. I was very tired, and they said to me, relax 4 days in your home. And then we came to you to help you. In these 4 days, I've been heavy because I feel secure that I liked in my country. 4 days was finished. Someone came to me before the 4 days to teach me everything about the state and how to get me out on me alone. I studied English and learned. As well, some institutions helped me to get the house from Housing SA. But at that time, I still felt lonely and isolated. But someone gave my name and address to Fuse organization. And then Mr. Brian came to my house with Karen to be my friend. And then we became friends. Karen was able to help me get out of isolation and loneliness, and helped me with something difficult in this study. And she encouraged me to learn driving. So now I'm different woman. I learned English, I learned driving, and I became friends because I speak English. I have become new women. Thanks to everyone to help me in Australia, especially Mr. Brian because he introduced me with Karen. So I was traveled to my country, but I felt missing to Australia. And when I come back to Australia, at the airport in Adelaide, I was breathing fresh Australian air. And I said to myself, Australia, I like Australia. Yeah, I'm breathing fresh air in Australia. Thank you for listening to me.